Hey researchers, I wanted to bring up a question that a client asked me today about grant writing. And the question was this: do you have to be known already for your proposal to be taken seriously when it goes to study section or a review panel of some kind for your research grants? And it's a really good question. I've heard this before. Other people have asked similar questions, and sometimes people hold back submitting because they think I'm not well enough known, and so I won't be able to get funding simply because of that fact. So the theory behind this is that your funding depends on being known. And if you make that assumption, if you follow that conventional wisdom that you have to be well known already, the question is, how do you get known if you're not known? Well, that's an interesting one. Like, before you're known, you're not known, and then something has to happen to make you known. So what would it be? Well, the good news is people have done it before you. People have become known. But the bad news could be, if you believe in it, is that, oh, it's just happenstance. It's just luck. They were lucky. They got known somehow. They got discovered somehow. And so I haven't been discovered yet, so I have to wait for luck to happen. I don't believe in that kind of luck. I think we create our own luck through our actions. And another thing people sometimes think, oh, well, it's just about publications. So once I have that big premier publication, then it will be awesome. Well, I have a friend and a colleague who had a science paper way before I ever did, and yet I got funding long before that person ever did. Is it schmoozing? Well, I don't know. I mean, that's one thing that people think. But let's talk about my case to explore these. So in my case, as a junior faculty at UNC Chapel Hill, I wasn't well known. My biggest paper at the time was in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, PNAS, and it wasn't cited that much. It didn't have that big of an impact. I mean, a few people read it, but it wasn't like widely circulated or something. I was poor at schmoozing. I hated schmoozing. I'd rather at a conference go back to my hotel room and read something. I had decent but not great publications coming out of my postdoc work. I had a few, and that was good. So given that, how do you think that affected my proposals? I mean, it's an interesting question. And the most important part of this story is that both before and after I got the PNAS paper, which was about a year and a half into my faculty job, and it had been from work that started when I was a postdoc, it didn't really affect my grants at that time. Like, it wasn't like the subsequent grants that I submitted suddenly started getting funded. And I submitted several after that was published. And then about a year and a half later, I got my first R01 on the first try for a brand new from scratch R01. It wasn't a rehash of something else. I started from scratch because I kept getting rejections and decided to take a new approach. So the question is, if it wasn't publications, if it wasn't location, if it wasn't schmoozing, what changed? It was that I revamped my writing approach after really just getting sick of rejection. I mean, come on, rejection sucks, right? I mean, you can learn something from it, so there are some positives in it, but really, like, nobody's ego just says, yay, I want more rejection, at least not mine. So what made the really big difference is the revamp of the approach, writing more clearly, writing more powerfully, and connecting to the reviewer better. And that last point's a really important one, like learning how your writing impacts the reviewer, both for the positive or for the negative. And once you learn how to do that and write in a way that is less likely to create the negative stuff and more likely to create the positive stuff, it makes a big difference. So once I revamped the writing approach and got that first R01 funded, and then quickly followed it up with another R01 about 7 or 8 months later, that led me to being better known. It was a big jump, much bigger jump than any that I had taken previously, and how, quote, well known I was, because suddenly now I had 2 R01s, and everybody was like, whoa, who is this person? We need to find out about her. We want to know more about the research she's doing and so on. So that was the big jump. That is how I initially became known at my university, and more widely than that is by actually doing a really good job on these proposals, and then that good job leading to them getting funded. So were the papers and the institution and the schmoozing unimportant? No, they're important, but they're like the foundation of a house, not the actual house itself. And you shouldn't mistake the foundation for the house. Like if you just built a foundation and said, okay, somebody built it for you and said, okay, you can live there now, you'd be like, what? No, there's no roof, there's no nothing. And that's the same thing with grant writing. It's great to have a solid foundation, but it's even more important to have really solid construction of the house itself. And that is your grant proposal in this case. And that is the best way that I know of to become better known, impressing people so that they give you the funding for your research, and it becomes a kind of snowball that then other people are like, who is this person? Oh, this person already at R01s, maybe they're doing something important. Maybe I should follow this up and give funding or support this person too, because another study section already voted for them to have funding. So hopefully you don't sit around waiting for that final dose of authority, that dose of recognition, where you decide to write your proposal. Instead, become a better writer, become a better presenter of your ideas so that you impress people and bypass all the 5 or 10 years of doing that. And if you want more tips and hints about getting your research funded and research careers in general, you can check out my blog at morganonscience.com. And I really hope that you will work on writing better proposals, because it helps you and it helps everybody, because then there's just less stuff in the system to deal with for reviewers, and it's higher quality to noise ratio. All right, see you soon.